Welcome, everyone. We've got Eric Sachs. He's the co-founder of Breakthrough Broker. This whole thing's brought to you by Breakthrough Broker. So thank you, Eric Sachs. And of
Course,
course,
man.
she's Glennda Baker wearing her amazing jacket with stars, and all of you follow her. So, oh my stars. There you go. I love that. I love that you always incorporate the stars into everything. Glennda, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I am excited to be here with you guys today. And Tristan, the stars have kind of taken on a life of their own. If I don't wear them, people are like, oh, where are your stars? So, yeah.
Glennda, that's funny because I just realized that when I don't wear my black V-neck, people are like, "What? You change your uniform?" I'm like, "Wait a
Yeah.
second, I always wear." That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's so interesting. And what's even more fun is when I go to events and people will wear their stars for me. It's so cool. Like one guy had on his star socks, like all these ladies had on star sweaters. It was just so cool.
I love it. Well, look, the first comment straight out of the gate, Glenda, Eric, Karen, welcome, Karen. I can't believe she's here. So, Karen, yes, we all love Glenda. We're all
I,
Glenda
I,
fans.
I told Glenda before we got on, people were calling me and they're like, I can't believe you have her on. I'm like, we've got her on. Let's do this.
Well, I'm
Yes.
excited to be here with you guys.
All right, everybody, let us know what city, what state, what country you're from. Obviously, this is with Breakthrough Broker. Let us know if you love Breakthrough Broker too. We love them. And then everyone here loves Glenda. Yes, we all love her. I love this. All right, let's get started. Glenda, you've grown so fast and you continue to provide high quality value. And what we've seen with other agents, because you are an agent, right? I won't call you just an influencer. I think at the core, you know what you talk about. You're a real estate agent. You're a real estate connoisseur. At the core of everything, you continually upgrade who you are and how you show up. And I watch that. And I think others appreciate that of you. How do you continually show up at that same level and push yourself?
I'm excited about life, Tristan. Like I really every single day when I wake up, some days I'm afraid to open my eyes because I think that it will have just been a dream. So for me, every single day, I'm so thankful for it and I'm excited about life. Real estate is my passion. And so I think it's easy to be excited about something that you love, number one. But I'm super curious about what other people are doing and how they're growing, how they're using social media, how they're using video to grow their business. And so for me, it's really simple because I don't just look at other real estate agents or real estate influencers. I really just consume content that I love, no matter who it's from. And I try and when I see something that I like, I try and implement it into my business, my real estate business. And I always like to say I glendify things that I see. So, because I always want it to be me, I always want it to be true to me and who I am. So, I'm really super sensitive about that. But ultimately, I'm always curious about growing and getting better every day.
Okay, I love that. I love how you study social media. A lot of the times we jump into social as agents or just business owners, we jump into social and we let it control how we feel, what we think, what we do, and then it gets out of hand. We watch it all the time, especially in the comments in Lab
Yeah.
Critic. Um, but you choose to approach it to learn from it and treat it like a business. How do you do that so that we can replicate it? What do you do?
Well, I'm creating content to sell real estate, not the other way around. A lot of what I see people doing is they're selling real estate to create content. They're selling real estate to be these influencers and content creators, and that's the tail wagging the dog. Like for me, I every real estate transaction, I want it to be a case study for buyers, sellers, and investors. Everything that I do, when I show a house, when I preview a house, when I list a house, when I sell a house, I want it to be a case study for other consumers and other real estate agents. So I am super tuned into not just once upon a time or the end. I'm really tuned into the middle, the drama, the trauma, the story, the diary entry of real estate.
Oh, I like that. I think that's the part that most people miss.
Absolutely, because they put just listed, which is once upon a time. They put just sold, which is the end, and they miss all of the value that they brought to the transaction is in the drama, the trauma, the story, and the diary entry.
And that must be what keeps people coming back to your social to hear the stories over and over because it's interesting.
Well, and they can't look away.
Right.
Think about it. And most of the time I talk off camera. So the audience is like a fly on the wall. Like they're getting to listen to the conversation between me and my client, me and my best friend, me and my therapist. Like they're getting to hear the secrets of real estate.
Okay. So how do you plan ahead for creating the content? And you are now at a different level than most people we talk to when it comes to social media. How do how do you plan now, and how did you plan before so you got there so that people can kind of follow through with that?
So at first, I would just take a post-it note. I'd put it in my notes on my phone, an idea or a situation or something that I saw, and it was very disorganized. And now what I do is I have a Google form that's on the homepage of my phone, and it's what's the idea, what was the inspiration, or the link or the source, and then what do I want to say about it? And so literally it's those three questions. And if I have an idea or I see something, I just post it. I mean, I just fill out my form. It goes into my Google form. Then when I open my laptop, it's all in my sheet. So I just go down when I'm having like a great hair day or I'm really feeling like a rock star. I just go through my spreadsheet and make my videos.
All right. So does that mean you don't record every day? You record certain days, and if you're not feeling like you can perform as well, you push it off to a day that you can?
I have scheduled content days one day a month, number one. But number two, I think that
Okay.
our world is moving so fast. If I don't have a content day scheduled for 3 weeks, by the time I get to that day, what I wanted to talk about may not be relevant anymore. So it's really critical to me to do my live videos, to do my stories, and to record on my own from my phone videos that I can post when they are time sensitive. That's really, really critical. Like Bank of America. When I opened up my Bank of America app and all of my money was gone, like that couldn't wait 3 weeks. Like that was an
No.
issue. Like I needed to talk about that right this second. And so what I really encourage agents to do, number one, is do not be afraid of live video. Live video is your in the moment. It is really your reactionary stories. So you were out showing a house and you fell in a hole. So it snowed here in Atlanta. I know nobody believes me. It snowed here in Atlanta, and we had clients, first time home buyers, that wanted to go out, take a look at these houses. And so Victoria and I go out. Well, there was snow on the ground, and I stepped into a hole and fell over. Like
Whoa.
I need to tell people about that right that second. The house that we were showing is this amazing renovation in this area that hasn't really transitioned yet. And so every single house around that house had security bars and all kinds. I mean, it was so crazy to see like these really heavy industrial security bars on all of the houses and these cages on all of the HVAC. Well, if I waited 3 weeks to post that, it's like I'm not in that moment. Like I want to be in that moment and I want to be able to share with my audience all of that information. And that's one thing that Evelyn said to me yesterday. She's like, remember when you would go and preview houses and you would see POS renovations and you would talk about like, it's a POS renovation when the switch plate covers are still yellow and the house is all gray. And so I really think that that in the moment content is really missed because for us, it's like every day-to-day stuff. Like we don't think it's special. Like you just think that you went to a house, you showed a house and it was a POS renovation and you didn't tell your audience why it was, like what was wrong with it. You didn't tell people what was the lipstick on a pig. So and you never ever want to talk shit about a house, like, and give the real address. Everybody always says to me, and you never ever like show it so somebody would know it. But if I'm showing you a light switch in a house, you don't know that, right? And everything
Sure.
is 123 Banana Street. Everybody is Bobby and Susie. Everybody is Lucy, the listing agent, Betsy, the buyer's agent. I rarely ever use anybody's real name or address.
I love that. Could you repeat the 3 questions that you ask yourself in the Google Doc so that
Yeah, it's what's the idea? What is the idea of the video? What was the inspiration, the source or the link? And then what do I want to say about the idea? Because what would happen is I would say, oh, I want to talk about POS renovations. And I would forget, like, what was the purpose of this? Why were you talking about it? So those 3 questions right there will give you a roadmap for your video. Okay. So you want to go in with, do you want to know how to tell a POS renovation off the bat? Okay. So that's the question. Do you want to know how to do it? I was showing 123 Banana Street. It's $600,000. And they painted the entire house gray. They used beautiful countertops and they left these nasty ass switch plate covers. Tell me, how do you know when you've seen a piece of shit renovation? And so what happens when you do that is, number one, you go ahead and you talk about the trauma up front. You talk about what you saw and how you reacted to it. And then you ask them the question, which creates engagement in the comments.
That's true. I like that. And how do you, there's a question that's popping up quite a bit. How do you keep the confidentiality uh, on point so that your current clients don't know you're talking about them or they don't feel, how do you do that?
Oh, no. Everybody who works with me knows that they have the ability to be a TikTok. There's not a secret. And I'm very transparent about number one, is it okay? If I talk about your home buying experience, I'm not using your name, I'm not using your address. And most anybody who works with me understands that, number one. Number two, the people that require confidentiality, we don't talk about them. When we have, an athlete here in Atlanta or an entertainer or somebody, or just anybody who wants confidentiality, we just don't talk about them. So you need to be very transparent, very, very clear in your communication with your client so you don't, mess up and say something that will lose that client. Because we've done that. We've done that. We did the postcard, highest sale in the neighborhood, $50,000 over the highest list price. And we did it in a postcard. And the buyer said, we look like a complete and total dumbass for paying this much for our house. And those people sold that house and didn't use us. They bought another house and didn't use us. So you need to be very clear. I did the same exact postcard, sold for $150,000 over the Zestimate, But what I learned was I said to the buyer, I said, hey, James, I just want to make sure you understand. I'd like to send out this postcard. This is what it's going to say. It has nothing to do with what you paid for the house, because I honestly think that you stole it. It has more to do with what this estimate was and how wrong it was. And the reason I want to do this is because I don't want other people to think, because this seller left money on the table. I don't want other sellers to, you didn't pay too much. That
Yeah.
seller just left a shit ton of money on the table.
Yeah. All right. I like that. That's good. I think
Yeah.
what you do really well is you capture everyday stories and you translate them for your audience so they're entertained. Tony Robbins is always saying, look, the way to get to people to listen to you and educate them and work with you is you've got to entertain them first. That's the world we live in right now.
Yeah.
And you do such a great job with that. It's a really
Thank
nice
you.
process.
You've got to entertain them, educate them, and give them context. Because where I see a big gap in content is that there's no context to the content.
And that's what makes you the expert. That's where someone watches and they're like, oh, I need to list with Glennda because it's the context of what you're saying makes you the expert. I love that. I agree 1,000%.
Well, and think about Anthony that called me this morning. First time home buyer. He's been watching my videos for years. He knew not to contact an agent from the internet. He knew not to get pre-qualified from a lender over the internet. He knew that when he found something that he liked, that he wanted to work with me. And so he called me. And so what I love is that here's a first-time home buyer, and his first call was to me.
And so
And
sometimes when we're doing this, I like to just point out the nuggets. So this is a nugget. This is an asterisk in this conversation. Sorry, guys, I'm in a lobby of a hotel. The asterisk is the time you're spending on the videos, the time you're spending on social. When the potential new client, buyer or seller, is watching and looking and learning and finally calls you, it's the top of mind awareness. It's the education you're giving them. It's the trust you've already built before they even called you. That's what I'm hearing. So if
yeah,
I'm watching this and I'm like, why would I take my time to do this? It seems like so much. That's why, right?
well, you're positioning yourself as the real estate expert to people. I'm never, ever going to meet Anthony. Anthony is a 1 in 9 million person in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm never, ever meeting Anthony. But Anthony has decided by watching my videos that I'm a real estate expert that he would enjoy working with. And so my videos are all about attraction marketing. That is what they are. They are for one purpose. They are to inspire, impact, and inform buyers and sellers and investors about real estate. And they are designed to trigger someone to take action to call me.
Okay. I love that. What do you think agents do wrong when it comes to showing up on social media then? Because you have it clear. Like this
Yeah.
is who I am and this is what I stand for and this is how I show up.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to go viral. They fill their social media with Maybachs and mansions, and they're worried about being viral and the vanity of the real estate transaction, and they're not bringing value to their client and visibility to themselves.
What does value look like to you and how does that translate to the consumer? Just so people can understand the definition of what value should be.
Conversion happens in conversation, and conversation happens in the comments. If the comments on your video aren't something that is going to trigger someone to take action to do business with you, you haven't brought them value. Period. It's just that simple. This is not brain surgery. This is not difficult to understand. You want to compel someone to do business with you. And when you do that, you have provided a value. You have brought value to your audience.
Yeah, I think because you give really going back to what Eric pointed out, you have really good context on what you're talking about and why it's important to listen into this story, right?
Yeah.
So you translate the ordinary into a story that can impact me if I'm a buyer or a seller. And we all have the capability of doing that, but we don't do that. Why don't we do that, do you think, Glenda? What stops us?
You're afraid. You're afraid that somebody's going to think that you're fake. You're afraid that somebody's going to be a troll. This is what makes my head spin around and snot fly to my nose, is that somebody who's not nearly as good of a real estate agent as you are is making content and taking clients that you should be working with because you're too afraid of how you're going to show up on social media. I want you to think about every piece of content is a case study and a diary entry. Every single piece of content is a diary entry and a case study. If you can design them like that, it will create this compelling storytelling that will have buyers, sellers, and investors taking action. And you don't need a call to action. I mean, I remember it was so funny when I first started making my videos. Someone said to me, you don't have a call to action. Your videos are never going to ever succeed. You're never going to get business from them because you don't have a call to action. Anthony didn't need a call to action to call me today because I've already established myself as the expert in the field, the only person he should work with.
That's true. I think the call to action is in showing up consistently over a long period of time, providing the value for the audience. That's it. And that's what
Yeah.
so perfect, perfect. All right. So, is this being recorded? Yes, Grady, it's being recorded. Paul, I second the question about how much, if any, personal non-real estate content an agent should have up to promote their relatability. What do you think that is? Is there a number or is it just different for everybody?
It's different for everybody. I'm super comfortable talking about my life outside of real estate. The tennis video is probably one of the videos that it's not about real estate at all. That's gotten me more business than you can imagine, especially in the country club ladies set. I think that every time that you show a piece of yourself, it's just another layer of your personality that people can fall in love with. Like I talk about my children, I talk about my grandchildren, and I go into the classroom for the Christmas party at the school, holiday party at the school, and I walk in and the teacher looks at me and I know immediately. I can tell as soon as they look at me, if it's somebody I don't know, if they like have some recollection. And so she looks at me and I walked up and I said, hi, my name's Glitter, because that's my grandma name. And I said, I'm Callie's grandma. And she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, you're the real estate agent from TikTok. And so she goes, I had no idea your grandson was in my class. So do you not think that she's going to do business with me? Before I left, she wanted to take a selfie. Like, that's the thing is like,
That's awesome.
by leaving out pieces of your personality, pieces of your life, you're just making it harder for people to connect to you because you're not just a real estate agent. Are you a mom? Are you a dad? Are you the soccer coach? Are you a girl dad? Like, why is selling real estate important to you? Are you helping people build generational wealth? Why are you doing that? Was it because you lived in a rental house as you grew up? Like, is English your second language and you do your videos in your first language? Like, because you want people from your country to live the American dream and become homeowners. So why would you not tell your story? But I understand lots of people aren't comfortable with that. There is no one right way to do video or social media. And that's what I want people to hear more than anything. You do you. Don't try and be me. Be you. And if that works for you, more power to you. Praise the Lord and pass the money.
Praise the Lord and pass the money. I love that. The cool thing that I love, Glenda, is that you do those little phrases
Yeah.
every, you just throw them out and it catches, it's like for me watching you, it's a pattern interrupt. And I'm like, whoa, that was really good. And it hooks
Yeah.
me. So,
Yeah. So if you want to create a cult following, you need to have a logo, which are my stars. You need to have a language, which are my Glenda-isms. So I arrive unknown and I leave unforgettable. That is my goal today with you. It's my goal no matter where I go, that I arrive unknown and I leave unforgettable. And so for me, I have been very intentional about the stars. When I saw people biting into the stars on Once Upon a Time, I Sold a Big Ass House, every video from then had stars in it. When I saw that people were like, they were engaged with the Glenda-isms, I was like, oh, okay, so it's okay to talk like I talk. And what's really crazy is I was so self-conscious about my accent because I have this big country accent. I was so like, oh, I can't do those videos because I sound like a big hick from the sticks, right? And now people have coined me as the most recognized face and voice in real estate video. And anywhere I go, people are like, oh my gosh, I knew it was you from your voice.
yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that, again, don't be afraid to do you and turn up the volume on that.
Turn up the volume. That should be a t-shirt for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Love
love
that.
it.
That's a really good one. All right, let's go to some questions and then we'll go back. There's quite a few. That's one. I don't want to miss any. They're really good. So we've got one. How do you choose the themes for your Instagram content?
Mm, I don't know that I have themes for my Instagram content. I talk about what is relevant. So I have 4 buckets: real, relatable, reliable, and relevant. Okay. So every video that I do is designed to inform, impact, and inspire. Okay. So those are the verbs, those are the action words. And then adjectives, I want my content to be real, relatable, reliable, and relevant. And sometimes it's raw and refreshing.
All right. I had to write that down. Just, I know people are going to, oh, there you go. Thank you, Eric. You wrote it down.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right.
because
Next one.
that's what I want. Like that's my umbrella. That's what I want to be known for. And so I think that you need to come up with, what are your action words? What are you trying to do with every piece of content that you post? And then what are the core foundation of the content? Is it real? Is it relatable? Is it reliable? Is it relevant? And my words aren't necessarily your words because you're in a different market, you're in a different place, you're selling a different product, you're selling a different person. You're not me. Don't try to be me making your content. What I want to see is, I want to see your content all about your audience, designed by you, curated by you. So whatever your audience is going to bite into, that's where you need to focus.
All right. And let's say we do that.
Yeah.
And everyone here is at different stages.
Yeah.
How often do you, it's the question that everyone asks. How often should we be posting and to what outlet should we be posting?
Platform of choice, wherever you're going to post. Pick a platform. It doesn't have to be TikTok. It doesn't have to be Instagram. Do you want to be on Facebook? Go right ahead. Post on Facebook. I think I've gotten 94,000 followers on Facebook. I didn't even know there was 94,000 people on Facebook. So like the thing about it is that pick your platform of choice and post there. And don't post POS content. Don't post just a post. Post when you have something valuable to say. If you don't have anything valuable to say, don't feel like you have to post like shitty content because that loses followers. That loses credibility. That again, it's not about virality and vanity. It's about value and visibility. And so you want to post as often as you have something valuable to say.
If you're just getting started in this and you're like, all right, Glennda inspired me, I'm going to start doing this. And you post a few times and get few comments. What's your suggestion to stick with it, to be consistent? It hurts a few, I feel like there's a ramp up phase if you're just getting started. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Well, you gotta keep in mind when I started, I had 122 followers. I posted on Tuesday and Thursday. So I didn't post every day and I didn't have a ton of followers. And it's not about the number of followers that you have. It's really about how much engagement you have. So if you sent 10,000 postcards or 10,000 emails and you had a 4% open rate, obviously whatever you're sending has no value. But if you have a 70% open rate, you've got some value. So you're looking for the engagement. And the best way to get engagement is to ask your audience, what are you most curious about real estate? What are you most afraid of about real estate? What scares you about real estate? What does the perfect real estate transaction look like to you? Ask your audience, let them tell you what they want to see, because then you're not doing like target practice posting. You want to ask, but Glennda, nobody follows me. I have 3 followers. Go to your lender, go to your attorney, go to the top producer in your office and ask them, what is it about real estate that is the most difficult thing you ever had to handle? What is the easiest thing that you thought was going to be really hard? Ask your lender, why do people get declined for a loan? If you did a video today and you said, here are the top 3 reasons that people get declined for their loan, I guarantee you'd have 1,000 views, 10,000 views all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. So don't be afraid to ask. And if you don't have any friends and you don't have anybody in your office, there's this thing called ChatGPT that comes in really, really useful for people who don't know anybody.
That's true. Very good answer. All right, Ian has a good question. He asked it earlier. Ian, I got you. Recommendations for brand new agent with little to no experience, almost like what Eric asked. But I think here I want to focus a little bit more on no experience. So I don't know
Yeah.
anything about real estate practically, right? How do
You're-
I show up then?
You're brand new. You're a brand new real estate agent. You're 3 days in the business. You've never sold a house. You've never listed a house. You've never even lived in a house. Okay. I want you to find, here's where I work. Here's where I live. Here's where I spend the most time. So let's say that it is your office, your apartment, and your gym. Okay. I want you to preview every single house in your TMZ, in your 3-mile zone. Okay. Preview every single house in your 3-mile zone.
Hold on. That's what I love about you, Glenda. You just did it right there. Just continue.
Okay. So I want you to know every house in your TMZ. And then I want you to call every agent. I want you to call the listing agent and the buyer's agent on the last 12 houses that sold. And I want you to ask them, Hey, this is Glennda Baker. I see that you just sold 123 Banana Street. I want to ask you, it just closed 3 weeks ago. Um, do you like, why did those people buy it? What was it about that house that they picked that house over 125 Banana Street? You want to ask questions to the buyer's agent and the listing agent that you can't find on MLS. And you're like, but Glennda, why do I want to do that? I don't have any clients. Because when you have the opportunity to talk real estate with somebody, then you can speak intelligently about the real estate in your community. Because if you're at the gym working out and somebody says, hey, Tristan, how's it going? And you say, I'm living the dream. I'm selling houses every day. And then Bob at the treadmill next to you says, oh, you're in real estate. I am in real estate. Oh my gosh. You know, the house that's like 3 houses from the gym. Oh my gosh. I was looking at that. Can you believe that that's listed at 795,000? It's like 1 bedroom. It's like 500 square feet. I mean, it is California, for God's sake. But then you automatically, nothing accelerates credibility faster than proof. And the more that you can talk real estate, the better off you are.
That's very true. I love how you correlated that.
Yeah. Yeah. And always put yourself in a position to talk about real estate. Okay. You're not coming off salesy when you say, oh, my stars and stripes. You know what? I went and looked at 5 houses. If you previewed 5 houses a day, 5 days a week, if you are a brand new agent, you would know more about real estate inventory than probably anybody in your office.
That's
And
true.
then that way, when you have an opportunity to hold an open house, if you're holding an open house, what you need to do is say, is you go preview every single house in the area. And then when you get to the open house, you can say, oh, well, 123 Banana Street has a purple dining room. I'm not sure what they were thinking when they painted it purple, but if it's a Laker fan, it might have been their favorite color. And so what you want to do is you want to be able to talk about every single house at the open house. And then what you do, you're at an open house and you do a video and you say, by the way, I have an appointment at 5, 5:15, 5:30, 5:45, and 6 o'clock. I have 4 appointments to show 4 houses. I don't have anybody to show a house to. If you are thinking about buying in Westlake Village, give me a shout because I've already got 4 appointments set up for this afternoon. Hello.
That's all.
But Glennda, I don't have anybody to show the houses to. Then go preview them.
Yeah. Broker open.
Broker all day. If
Every
you're
day.
not going to the broker open, it shouldn't even be called broker open anymore. It should be called content and caravan and content.
Yes. Yes.
It really should. Because you don't have anything else to do. You don't have a buyer. You don't have a seller. You don't have a listing. You need to be out looking at every single house in your TMZ.
Yeah, that's so true. That alone, Glenda's right. That alone, going through creating the content from what you're watching, right? Getting permission, you're watching it, it gets you followers and people engaged. It's so valuable, Glenda. You're so right.
And you're talking about it. I didn't know that, this NBA player's fiance was going to see my Instagram story about a movie being shot at my listing, but she did. And then they wanted to come see the house and then they bought it. Hello. When I made that content, I had no idea who was going to see it. And do you know that yesterday, sit down and grasp tightly. Do you know that 13,000 people looked at my Instagram story? 13,000 people. But Glennda, you got a ton of followers. Y'all, nobody looks at the stories. Come on. 13, I couldn't have gotten 13,000 eyes on anything in one day, in one 24-hour period. That's more views than the listing had on Zillow. I want to put that in perspective for you. That's more views than that listing had on Zillow, on homes.com combined.
That's nuts. Nuts.
Yes, it is nuts. It is insane.
All right, Nathan White has a good comment. I want to know what you think. You agree with it? He says, we've turned social media into a megaphone for just sold, just listed, and self-promotion, often missing the point of providing value over creativity. The result, we're shouting into the void while our audience quietly hits unfollow, hide, or mute, because let's face it, they have that option too.
Yeah, I mean, you're making them numb to the noise. And as real estate agents, nobody has diminished our value more than we have, because we put
Oh,
up
that's true.
there just sold in 2 days, just sold over list price. You think it makes you look like a hero. Oh, I made $1 zillion GCI. I sold a zillion houses. Newsflash, nobody gives a shit how many houses you sold last year or how much money you made. All they care
That's true.
about is that you sold their house and made them a truckload of money. And if you can't get on your own social media and talk about how you helped Bobby and Susie buy the home of their dreams, how you helped John and Joni sell the home that they had been in for 40 years and make a truckload of money that they will retire on and move to one level living where they can age in place, let me just tell you, you have no value. You are full of vanity and virality, and that is a recipe for disaster. I'm telling you right now.
That is so true.
Yeah,
You watch that in videos that are made continuously.
all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. I see more agents doing more to diminish. Well, and I don't even need to tell you, Tristan. I mean, come on. I mean, Facebook groups. I mean, and this is what blows my mind is that people actually think that the only people in a Facebook group is a real estate agent. I mean, it totally cracks me up,
Yeah.
especially in your neighborhood Facebook groups. Like when you as the real estate agent sound like a complete and total dumbass, it's like a megaphone.
Yes. That's so true.
Yeah. So be
Oh,
conscientious of what you post. Post to bring value to your audience and visibility to your brand. And then also turn up the volume on who you are.
Glenda,
how
I'm
do,
getting texts from people on my personal phone how awesome this is. So thank you, by the way.
Oh, good, 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 good.
So
how, how do
this
we
is
turn up the volume on ourselves? Because I think that might be our biggest challenge, Glenda, as it's just people. We're so I think we're scared that people will judge us because they will. And how do we get over that? Like what do we how did you do it? How did you show up consistently and turn up your volume? Was it progressive or you just say, screw it, I'm doing it?
I think, I would really probably have to thank the East Cobb Karens. I'd have to thank the Mean Girls because they would talk so much shit about me, and they were the housewife real estate agents. And what what I decided, what I became intentional about was if anybody is going to curate the narrative about Glennda Baker, it's going to be Glenda. And I figured if I just talked about the mistakes I had made, my own shortcomings, it gave me the opportunity, number one, to have emotional authenticity with my audience. And I don't know about you, I don't look like Kim Kardashian. Like, I'm not that post to be perfect, that scripted reality. I was so sick and tired of seeing that everywhere. And so for me, I really kind of leaned in to the imperfection. I really fell in love with the flaws of myself. And I think that once you become self aware like that, it makes it a lot easier. I'm not posting to be perfect. Every word that I say is not perfect, grammatically correct. I mean, do you realize I failed English because I wrote the essays like I spoke? Like I barely got out of high school. Like I look back on my failures and I've learned so much more from my failures than I have from my successes.
This is true, Glenda. I suck at spelling, and
Yeah.
I'm dyslexic, so the letters move around instead of the numbers. In law school, I misspelled breach, like no joke. But it was for the whole final in my torts class. And the following year, because I didn't fail the class, the following year he brings up that specific final. It has no name, just a number. And he says, "Listen, I don't know if this guy made it to this year, but don't be this guy. He misspelled breach everywhere." And I was like, "Oh shit, that was me." So yeah, I got you. I know what you.
Yeah, but this is the thing is like being yourself, come on, it's 2025. I mean, look at Mel Robbins, look at Brene Brown. I mean, I was in something the other day and it said, what word is like, when you think about Mel Robbins, you think about anxiety. When you think about Brene Brown, you think about vulnerability.
Yeah.
When people think about Glennda Baker, I want them to think about real. Like she is real. She is the real of real estate. She says what we all think and are afraid to say. She does what we all want to do, but we're afraid to do it. And so I'm not without failure. I'm not without error. I mean, I blasted this agent on Facebook Live like you cannot believe. I never said her name. I never said the property address, but I mean that woman cost me $8,000 and I was mad about it. And what I learned from that experience was absolutely blasting her on social didn't make her look bad. It made me look bad.
Oh, yeah.
And so think about what is the reflection that you're trying to put out there of yourself. Like what are you don't be filled with regret. Look back with reflection and learn from that.
I love that. Yeah, that's very true. I think sometimes we get caught up in that emotion and then we want to go up and then talk about it and then it makes us look back. What a great point, Glenda.
Yeah.
All right, a couple more questions and then we're done here. What book or books have you read recently that you think we should be reading as well? Anything?
I read the Go Giver series every single year. Every single January, I will read the entire series. It's 5 books. Go Giver, Bob Berg. The other book that I have just read is Mel Robbins' Let Them. In fact, I bought the ticket to her tour. I'm going to be in Boston
Wow.
to see her. And I just, so I have two types of reading, self-help and, like professional business, how to get better at business is one category for me. Self-help and get better at business is all the same thing. And
Yep.
then the other is like smutty romance because everything like happily ever after, everything is a happily ever after because I protect what I put into my head. Like I want a happily ever after and I want to grow in who I am and I want to learn. And so everything that I listen to, everything that I look at, I don't, besides Reacher, I don't need anybody else like watching dying stuff like in conflict, but he's worth it. Trust me on that.
That's so good. I love it.
But no, really, I mean, I focus all the content I take in is designed to be positive, learn and grow.
I love that. All right, that's question number one. Question number two here. If you were going to start all over,
Yeah,
this was an earlier question. If you were going to start all
yeah,
over and you didn't have the following, right, anymore,
yeah,
where would you personally gravitate to? What outlet? And
yeah.
how would you show up to start gathering engagement quickly?
I would do Instagram. I would do Instagram Live, and I would double down on posts from the Porsche. Posts from the Porsche was the original live Facebook Live series that I did, and because I have a Porsche, and I
Oh,
sat in my car and talked about real estate. And I think that, believe it or not, I think that if I had stuck with that, if I still used it within my video strategy today, I think
Okay.
that I would probably be about 10 million followers ahead of where I am.
Dude, sorry, I'm in LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
So a live series from your car, the lighting
right.
is always great. Tips from the Tesla, talks from the Tahoe, real estate from the Rover. I mean, pick a car. It was
Pick a
so
car.
funny. There was this one little girl here in Atlanta, up in Cartersville, Georgia, which is north of Atlanta. She goes, "I'm not bougie like Glennda Baker. I don't have this isn't post from the Porsche. This is all I know from the Altima."
That's really good. That's really
Yeah.
good.
And she goes, "I just started in real estate." She goes, "The driver's side door doesn't open. I'm up here in Crackville about to show some shack." She goes, "But one day I'm going to be posting from the Porsche like Glennda Baker."
Okay, I like that.
And the thing about it is like, work with what you got.
That's
The
true.
worst thing you can do is not do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, like, do you next year in January, do you want to be on the same Zoom call and not have posted one single video? Because if you are, you probably will be close to being out of business. If you don't think that video content is ruling the world, you probably are not very tuned in.
Yeah. And if you've got a truck, talks from the truck.
Yeah,
Talk.
absolutely.
We've got a whole bunch of people. Business from the Buick. I like that. House talk from the Honda.
I
That's a
love
good
it.
one too.
Yeah.
Uh, what else have we got?
Moves from the Mazda.
Moves from the Mazda or moves from the Mercedes because somebody's saying, what about Mercedes?
Do you know what? My friend, Kathleen Wooten, who came to see me speak in Nashville, she's in South Carolina and she does Mercedes minutes.
Oh, I like that
And
one.
she gives tips from her Mercedes.
That's good. That's good. I
Yeah,
like that. All right. So you would do lives on Instagram. How often?
absolutely.
Once a week, two times, doesn't matter.
Whenever you can bring value.
And then you would also post to Instagram on Reels and Stories.
Yeah, absolutely. So stories is behind the scenes, what's happening in real life in real time. Okay. So real estate in real life in real time is your story. Your live is your reactionary videos. So something that you just saw that can't wait, time sensitive. And then your reels, I think, are typically more instructional, educational, informative.
Got it. All right. Eric, anything else?
I had to unmute because I'm in the loudest lobby ever. Glennda, thank you so much. You have no idea how many nice comments we're getting and you sharing your expertise in such a easy to understand way. We thank you a ton. I'm going to reach out because I want to connect one-on-one if you have time.
Absolutely. I will make time, Eric. Thank you so much for hosting me. I hope that I was able to bring value to your audience. And
Absolutely.
if I can ever help you in Atlanta, Georgia, just call
Yes,
me.
I will for sure.
You are our Atlanta person. Everyone's thanking you so much. Glennda, thank you for taking an hour to do
Yeah.
this. We appreciate you a lot. Thank you. Thanks for being
Yep.
a good friend.
Thank you.
Anything for you,
thank
Tristan.
you. From Breakthrough Broker, thank you.
Thanks, guys.